Hi, I'm Lisa Hayden with Channel 6 Central Kentucky TV, community focus on Washington County. And we are delighted to have with us today Ben Mudd, the pharmacist at Medica, who is a producer of CBD oil. Is that correct, Ben?
That's correct. So we have a pharmacist at Medica here in Springfield, and then and a separate business own a company called GM Hemp Co., which is one of the brands we sell down at Medica. And we've been doing that oil business since we started in February of 2018. So almost 2 years now we've been in business.
Here in Springfield? And you've been in Springfield?
That's based out of Lebanon.
Okay.
But yeah, the oils that we carry, we promote those mostly through retail pharmacies, so independent pharmacies. I think we're in 7 or 8 states now.
Oh my!
So, but it's only available through the oil we sell through pharmacies because, given my background, definitely see value in that the counseling session between a pharmacist and a patient. There's a lot of questions that people have, and we, as a company, see a huge value in that relationship between the pharmacist and the patient.
So, I asked you to be here today because it's National CBD Month.
That's what I hear.
And yeah, you probably didn't even know that, did you?
That was the first I heard of it, but I'm glad to be here.
Well, I didn't even know there was such a thing. But I was looking at something online and saw that, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool. So Ben needs to come down and talk about this business. And I know, because having been in your pharmacy, I've seen that for sale there. Mm-hmm. And I've seen it in different kinds of ways. So this is a hemp product.
Correct.
And before I know, I've bought soaps, hemp soaps. But then, I've been hearing all the rage on this hemp oil that people are buying for all kinds of medicinal problems they may have.
Sure.
So,
what's the
give
difference?
us the lowdown.
Yeah. So, hemp was, for a long time, hemp seeds, hemp, any of the fiber that comes out of the hemp, that's been legal for some time. So most of it, not to grow, but you could import it. So you could have hemp socks, you could have hemp clothing, you could have hemp seed in supplements or in bars, food, whatever. And that would be what would be used in soap. So there's really kind of 3 components of a hemp plant that people are interested in. So you're interested in the seed, you're interested in the fiber, which is the stalks mostly. You could include the leaves of that in there, and then there's flower. So CBD comes out of the flower. So we're extracting that. You cut the flower off, and that's what you're extracting. And that product until 2014 was illegal. Hemp was illegal. So they passed the Farm Bill of 2014. That allowed states to open up access to have research-based hemp growing in the state. So Kentucky was one of the first states to do that. Mm-hmm. And now in 2018, federal government passed the 2018 Farm Bill, which even broadened that. So now it's not necessarily part of a research program, but it's just each state has the ability to have a hemp growing program. And it cleared up the language of, is the flower and the extracts of that legal or not? It removed that from the Controlled Substance Act. So it was definitely a gray area between 14 and 18 as to, is it still considered a controlled substance? Is it not? I mean, it's legal to grow, but they didn't really define what's, the extract of that product, if it's legal or not. The 2018 bill did do that. So.
Okay. And we know that hemp also is a product of marijuana, but the hemp is not the part that gets you high.
Right. So they're more like cousins, you could think of them. So yeah. Hemp does still have THC in it. Mm-hmm. It's a really small amount, so as part of that Farm Bill, they defined anything that has less than 0.3% THC is hemp. Anything above that is marijuana. That's how they differentiate the two. There are some hemp growers that may have hemp out there that's above that 0.3% level. So the state comes in to do an inspection. It could be above that, and they would have to basically they'd have to throw away that hemp.
So the products that are being sold are such as the hemp oil. I don't know if there's pills or not. I know is there other pills?
There's capsules, salves. I love how we go back to all these older medicinal terms. Salves, tinctures, capsules are available. There are CBD patches that are out there. We don't carry those. And so pretty much any dosage form you can imagine, a company's made a CBD product. And I want to step back too. So you mentioned hemp oil. So a lot of people will come to the pharmacy and they'll say, man, this bottle, because it's expensive, right? It's like for a 600 milligram bottle, you're looking at $70 some. And people are getting on Amazon and like, well, I can buy hemp oil online for $10, or they sell hemp oil at Walmart. And the biggest difference is that's not CBD oil. So it's cold pressed hemp seed oil. That's what's in those cheap bottles. Like if it's $10 for whatever they say it is, that's what the product is. And it doesn't have any of that extract from the flower. So no CBD.
Oh.
And that is cooking oil. Canola is a seed, right? So they press that down and you get canola oil. Olive oil, same way. Okay. So that's a big,
But that all comes from the seed and not the flower.
That's correct.
And the flower is where the more concentrated.
That's where they're called cannabinoids. So CBD, THC, there's 113 of them. All right, they're all in the flower. No cannabinoids in the seed.
Okay.
So.
And is that the part that is the medicinal?
That's right.
The cannabinoid?
Cannabinoids.
The
cannabinoids.
Cannabinoids.
Yes. So those have,
Sounds kind of like cannabis to me.
Yeah. But it's all the same.
So
thing.
that's all the same.
Right.
Okay.
So, and no CBD company out can make medical claims, right? Because the FDA doesn't allow that. Because it's not a drug, it's not a supplement, and they won't let you call it food. We don't really know what to call it because the FDA hasn't really specified how most companies label it, including us, as a supplement, because what other category does it fall into? That's a topic that's hot right now, and on the federal level of what is the FDA going to do to monitor and regulate this.
So at this point, are they, like a lot of herbs, not being regulated?
That's correct. So it's actually even to a lesser extent than dietary supplements.
It really? Huh.
Because in order to market a dietary supplement, you at least have to register that with the FDA. And right now they don't recognize it as a dietary supplement. So there's really not any oversight from the federal government as to what's happening. Now,
and that would be in the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency, and then the Federal Drug Administration, FDA,
right.
And then, of course, in the Federal Drug Enforcement, it would be a different agency.
Yeah, so the
that
DEA
would be
was, the Drug Enforcement Agency with the DEA. That was a really big scare for a lot of pharmacies because they would never come out and say, this is legal, this is not legal. They never gave that answer. And it was, you may know a thing about political positioning, right? But it was the U.S., the citizens of the country, there was a huge push to make this legal, right? It doesn't get you high. I'm not going to say it doesn't have side effects, and it doesn't, because it does, and it does, it has some mild drug interactions, but overall it's pretty safe. When we talk about what people consume. So there's this huge push to legalize it. So all the political powers were pushing the DEA to stand down. All right. So, but they would never say legal or not illegal. That's what the 2018 Farm Bill took care of.
So it did,
It
at that point, legalize it.
Yes, it removed it. It removed hemp, as defined as anything less than 0.3% THC, from the Controlled Substance Act.
Okay.
So pharmacies
Okay.
no longer had to worry about the DEA showing up to their pharmacy and shutting them down.
Okay. So, you know, I hear lots of good things about it from lots of people,
Right.
and for so many different kinds of medical problems.
Right.
I mean, that's what amazes me.
Yeah, there's a wide range, and you know, you can. We used to joke at the pharmacy. People would say, "Is this good for?" And we just shout, "Yes," jokingly. But you know, from a pharmacist standpoint, kind of stepping away from GM Hemp Co., what I can tell you is about relationships that I've had with patients and successes there. You know, for trouble sleeping, insomnia.
Now, do they advertise it for all those things?
You cannot.
You cannot.
Yeah, so no company. So I can't sit here from GM Hemp Co. and say this product's great for pain.
Okay.
That would not be legal.
Okay. So you can't say that it's good for anything, really.
Because now you're selling a drug. If you say this treats pain, it's a drug.
Okay.
If you say this treats insomnia, it's a drug. If you say
Okay.
this treats anxiety, it's a drug.
I see.
And that's
Okay.
where companies, if you kind of follow the industry, that's where companies get in trouble. Is they make claims, some false, some not, and usually the FDA kind of they've taken a stance where they go after the people that are making absurd claims, like this cures Alzheimer's, this
Okay.
cures Parkinson's. That's where you get in trouble. But as a pharmacist, I can share with my patients and you that, you know, here's what I've seen work for other people. And we always try to be, you know, Amanda, the other pharmacist down there, all of our pharmacists try to have straightforward conversations and answer patients' questions. You know, and it does seem to help the majority of people with pain, just, you know, mild arthritis type pain, nerves and anxiety, and sleep. For those three things, really, it helps if you take the right dose. It'll help most people. But you know, even from our standpoint, we don't go out and promote people, hey, this is going to cure your pain, because it's just not a fair thing to do, because it's not a drug. But it does seem to help, you know, most of the people that take it.
Yeah. Well, and those are just the things that I've heard from people who, you know, swear by it, and that it has, you know, helped their arthritis pain, insomnia, and some anxiety and irritability.
Right.
So those are really good things, because it seems like it's a pretty natural product, and now I don't know about any side effects. I haven't heard of any.
I mean, you know, if you take a high enough dose, you know, some people will say that it causes some drowsiness. It's not common, but it can occur. Dry mouth is another one that can occur. You know, stomach, you know, with anything you put in your body seems to cause nausea.
It does seem to cause nausea?
No.
Oh, it doesn't.
It's a possibility, right?
I
so
see. Oh,
1% of the
possibility.
people
Okay.
that take it
Could have
kind of like when you look at
nausea,
the
yeah.
list of side effects on a drug, not everybody's going to have that.
Right.
But a
gosh,
certain
I'm
percent-
afraid to look at the side
that's-
effects on a
yeah,
drug, to tell you the truth.
I usually don't. That's
Because
probably a good idea.
and, you know,
All of a
there's a
sudden you start
million
having all
of
of
them.
them.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, some of them are for the drug that you are being treated for,
sure.
what you're
Yeah.
being treated for.
Yeah.
That's what's so ironic about that. So it's really
When
pretty.
they say that Zofran causes nausea, and you're like, wait a minute, I thought I
That's
was
what
taking
you were
it.
taking it
Yeah,
for.
Yeah, sure. See that all the time. But yeah, and then, you know, blood thinners like warfarin, you know, we not a reason you couldn't take it, but something we want to be aware of. There are some drug interactions, and that's why it's important to
talk
run it
with-
by your pharmacist or healthcare provider, just to make sure, you know. And there's another hot topic that people are always asking about is drug testing. So I always like to talk
Oh,
about
that's
that.
a good one.
So it does have THC in it. It's a really, 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 really small amount,
Yeah.
but most of the products out there have some THC. So you should make sure that your healthcare provider is aware of that. And if that's an issue with your employer, it's always a topic we, again, try to review with our patients prior to starting them on a regimen that includes CBD.
Yeah, that could be a big problem
Sure.
at work. So
nobody's getting high off CBD oil, but depending on, it's a concentration thing, so it is a possibility.
Well, it's just like poppy seeds. I've heard of
Same
people
thing.
showing up positive
For opioids.
for opioids, having eaten a poppy seed muffin.
Yep, absolutely. It can
Yeah.
happen.
So I can see where you'd have to be very cautious about that.
Absolutely.
And but it does seem that it is showing benefits to a lot of people, and it's just another a product that can help people, and hopefully without side effects. And more people are growing hemp
Sure.
here in this county,
Right.
and of course across the state. So, but I'm getting the impression as more, I thought it was going to be this. You've been in the business now for quite a while.
Right.
How long?
2 years.
2 years. And so you've had two crops.
Right.
Correct? So, and you don't grow here
That's correct.
in Kentucky. You grow,
Yeah. I don't grow hemp at all.
well, I know.
Yeah, but our hemp is grown
And you
in
should be
Colorado.
glad, because I hear it's labor intensive.
It's very hard work. Growing up on a tobacco farm, I remember those hot days, and it's pretty similar. I've definitely been in hemp fields and seen the product being grown. It is. It's a lot of work, and I think there's a lot of farmers out there right now that have some hemp that they'd like to get rid of, because it's kind of hard to sell too.
Yeah.
A little bit of hemp goes a really long way. So.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean one plant could provide enough CBD oil for one person for a year probably.
Really?
Yeah, so it doesn't take that much to produce the oil. So
I see.
there's no market for it. If you in the ag business, if you have cattle for sale, you want to sell them, you take them to the stockyard. Somebody will buy them every single day.
Right.
As long as there's nothing wrong with them. Hemp's not that way. There's no market that you can take it to and say, here it is, and today it's worth this much money. It's a very old school business where you got a network to find somebody that wants your hemp.
Yeah.
So
And that needs to be somebody who can process it.
Right.
So I suppose processing it is, I don't know how intense that is, or what that requires. Is that some machinery, I assume?
yeah, there's lots of different ways to do it. People use we have a facility in Lebanon. We use ethanol to extract. So basically, it just strips remember the cannabinoids we were talking about. It's to kind of make it a simple process. Those cannabinoids dissolve in the ethanol, and then you boil that off, and you're left with what's called crude, and then you refine that even more down to a nice product that you can blend with.
And you
with an
do
oil.
that in Marion County?
Yes,
did
ma'am.
you say? Okay.
Just open that
So you
facility
have
up.
you just opened this,
Right.
like a processing plant?
Correct. Yeah.
So, and then so people who you've contracted with to grow the hemp will bring their hemp to your processing plant in Marion County.
So what we would do is, for someone, there are companies out there that have brands of CBD. So they would bring us their hemp. We would process it, formulate it into an oil, a salve, a topical preparation of some sort, whatever they want. We can take it from hemp out of the field and put it in a nice, pretty bottle and label it.
So you're doing this for other companies as
Including-
well as your own?
That's correct. Correct. Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a nice business, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
I mean, and we're trying to bring some quality control into the process and making sure that we're following all the right steps to make sure that when the product gets to the end consumer, you know, because right now, I mean, there's people are some rather large companies they're just, a lot of the people in the industry they don't have a healthcare background, you know, they're business people, so they're trying to figure out all this stuff, and they may not be following all the right quality control procedures to get to their final step.
And I would think that would be of concern to consumers.
Sure.
And
Should be.
for example, with the growing of the hemp, my understanding is, and I don't know if that's a state law, federal, I don't know if there's any regulations pertaining to that, but that it should be a natural product. And so I don't want, so for example, if I'm going to take some hemp oil or capsules, I don't want any, you know, chemicals in it.
Sure.
So are people allowed to spray their hemp
They're not supposed to.
crops with?
They're not supposed to.
They're
but-
not supposed to.
Yeah. Who's regulating?
But who's regulating that?
Supposedly the Kentucky Department of Agriculture, but they're not on every farm every single day, you know.
Right.
So, you know, with regard to what we do, we use one grower out of Colorado who has a USDA certified organic facility, indoor growing facility, and we see value in what he brings to the table, and we can buy him much less expensive locally. But, you know, unless you have some certification to show that, you know, that's why it's important to know the brand that you're buying, and that they know who the grower is, and they're not just buying from anybody because of all those things. Hemp in general, it sucks whatever's in that ground up. You can actually use hemp to clean up chemical messes, right? Because everything that's in the dirt, it pulls
absorbs.
out. Right. So there's testing that can be done on the hemp flower to make sure that none of those things are in there. But you know, that's a whole other topic of in and of itself. But it is important for people to realize that, and you know, CBD oil it's not something that you want to bargain shop for. You know, find a brand that you can trust, whatever brand that may be. That ideally, there's some healthcare professional involved. There's physicians that sell CBD oil. There's, you know, whoever it is, and that they've done their homework to ensure that you're getting a quality product. Most good brands will have what's called a certificate of analysis. So any of our products, you can go on our website, punch that code in, and it'll show you this is how much CBD is in here. Here's how much THC is in here. A couple other of the cannabinoids. So that's something, you know, that you want to watch for when you're buying. Does this brand offer that? And if it doesn't, probably want to stay away.
Yeah, yeah.
And most of the good are the brands that I would consider, you know, good companies. They all offer that service.
That's certification, you're saying?
They offer what's called a certificate of analysis.
Okay.
So they send that.
Now, does anybody check that? I mean,
Well, it's all allotted. So you know, you would send that. It's via a third party.
oh,
Right.
good.
It's
Okay.
a third party lab.
Okay, good.
So you know, our lab is in Arizona.
Okay.
They don't know me, you know.
Yeah.
And so we send off one bottle of, you know, we might have a lot that has 1,000 bottles in it. So we send one off. It's a sealed bottle. They open it up. They test it. Sure, could you finagle that? You could. But if people are going through the processes of getting a COA, it goes back to trusting the brand still. I mean, people could mislabel that.
Yeah.
You got to trust the brand you're taking.
Right. So in other words, it sounds like you have to be pretty careful, Ben, that, you know, I guess there's the potential that, you know, you could be getting nothing.
You could be getting hemp
A
seed oil.
placebo.
You could be, yeah. But you know, I wish that there, you know, it's a good and a bad thing, because from a company standpoint, more oversight means, you know, more red tape, all that
Right.
stuff. But at some point, I think that someone has to step in, and we're lucky enough that the industry. Usually, when does the FDA step in? When somebody gets hurt.
All right.
Okay, so
Right.
it's pretty safe. It's really hard to take too much of it. It's hard, they're on oil carriers, so contamination doesn't seem to be common. It's hard for bacteria to grow in CBD oil, so we don't have that issue coming along. So eventually it will happen. I think that the pressure is there, but for now, it really goes back. I mean, and here we are in 2020, having to trust a product that you're buying off a shelf when we live in America, and we're so used to the FDA monitoring everything that's in that pharmacy.
Yeah.
Or they say they do,
Yeah.
We see drugs recalled all the time because they don't meet potency standards, or, but
Right.
as a general rule, most of the stuff in a pharmacy at least is done in an FDA-approved facility, and we have that comfort that that's there. It's just not in this industry.
You're going to have to come back and we'll have to talk about generic drugs next time, Ben.
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot about that and how they're coming from other countries and they're not very well regulated by the FDA.
The FDA is
And
not
we
doing a
don't
very
have
good job.
and we don't have enough inspectors, and we're it's same way with a lot of our foods. Even we're
Sure.
not, things aren't being inspected because we don't have the inspectors.
No resources.
No resources.
That's true.
And that's the federal government's, so when you think you're getting something and that the FDA is inspecting, you can't always be too sure.
You're right, but hopefully they.
That's a daggone sad commentary if you want to know the truth.
It is, but there's just so many facilities out there. It's tough to monitor. I wouldn't want to be in charge of running the FDA. I don't think anybody does. That's why they all quit 6 months in.
Well, those generic drugs, though, in these other countries, and oh gosh, that was a scary program I listened to. So we'll have to discuss that at another time.
Leading into the next interview.
Yeah,
All right.
but really, that is very good information, and I appreciate that. So now I understand a whole lot better what I'm buying and where. So, and I'm glad to know that we've got some trustworthy sources out there. And I haven't tried it yet, but at some point, I may want to for something.
Hey, you're
that arthritis in my...
the healthiest, chillest person in Springfield. So what do you need it for?
Well, I'm
You
lucky
sleep
on
good,
that.
no
I do
pain.
sleep good.
Yeah.
I'm lucky on that. So, but anyway, I appreciate very much you being here, Ben, today, and I'm glad that you're in that business, and so we can count on you.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah, thanks
Have a
for
good day.
coming.
Thank you.